Boy, I don't think I have ADHD. At least I don't think so. But I'm telling you, there's a lot happening right now, and my attention span is everywhere. Cody's happening right now. They're down to the final two. Discussing Twerk and Big K that is happening as we speak. I
I
want to be
told you one.
respectful.
Oh, it's
I
live.
mean,
Yeah, we're live. I won't say it. I'm glad I didn't say it out loud. I thought you were just like casually talking to me. I didn't know we
no,
already
no.
went live.
I will edit that out on the re-air. This part
Nah,
would
you
not
good.
make the.
My mama know. No, I didn't say it. The three people that are in here. No, but yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I want to be respectful to Jay Black. I would love to stream this final conversation and see how they do it. Looking at the chat, I think that they might have declared their winner. I got it going on another screen. I got Carolina and Syracuse. I'm hoping that if I have that on the background to my left, then they'll actually win the game. Shout out to my award in the building.
Stream it. Let's see. It looks like
I don't know if that's considered disrespectful or not. Like I said, we got like 10. Oh, come on.
Talk about the basketball
He
game?
shot a 30-footer and banked it. He lost the ball. He threw up a 30-footer and banked it. What a loader. Oh, man. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Anyway. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and welcome to the show that has been trying to tell you for 2 years that the Kansas City Chiefs are a dynasty. You'll listen to another episode of It's a Black and White Thing featuring A1 and A Ward. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to turn this off. I don't think I can do this. Yeah, I can't do this. I can't. I gotta turn the game off. I gotta put it because I'm just gonna end up watching it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
me too.
Yeah, champion. Like I said, champion of the year is happening right now. They're down to the final two. Big K and A Ward. Big K and Twerk. They're trying to get this done. Right now, Big K's got 45% of the vote. Twerk has 15%. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl tonight. Please remember you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for Brains and Bars, or It's a Black and White Thing. Excuse me. It's a Black and White Thing. Rate, review, subscribe. You can check us out. We're live now on YouTube, the same channel that the Champion show is airing on. Listen, if you're watching Champion, please join us afterwards. We might have a little bit of reaction to that once it's done. You can check us out on social media by searching Brains and Bars on on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We are live on our Facebook page, live on my profile, live on Twitter right now as we speak. And I got my guy A-Ward in the building. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling really good. The weather is still good, and then there is it's weird. Kansas City, I don't know what it is. I guess it's like a yearly thing. The Wednesday after the Super Bowl, they throw a big parade in Kansas City. And tomorrow, it's supposed to be a good time. So I'm excited for that. I just found out where I was positioned on Champion of the Year this year, which was interesting. So that was fun. But I've had a good day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a parade inside my city. Yeah. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. This is what we're here to talk about. They have won their third Super Bowl in 5 years. Patrick Mahomes acquired his third Super Bowl MVP in said games. Overtime, I don't want to say thriller. Some people try to say it was a great game. Some people try to say it was a classic. I think it was simply a good game that turned up in the latter stages for a really good finish. 25-22 over the San Francisco 49ers, beating them in the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years and denying them. I guess I will start here to get your thoughts on the game and what your assessment of what you saw.
To be honest with you, I kind of saw a tale of two halves when it came to like the trenches. Like I felt like in the first half, that the 49ers were controlling the offensive and defensive line. I don't know if it was conditioned or what, but I think when you come to the second half, it kind of flipped on its head. I think quarterbacks, made a difference. I think Patrick Mahomes made the right reads and the right throws to get first downs. And I think Brock Purdy missed on a couple opportunities. But this was a game that was one play away from going the other way multiple times. And that's what's frustrating because it wasn't a Bills Chiefs classic. It wasn't a bad battle. It wasn't a bad football game. I think it was a game definitely than the Ravens and Chiefs, and a better game than the Niners and the Lions. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time. Actually, I might. Last time a Super Bowl went to overtime was recent. Right?
A couple of years ago. It was the Patriots and the Falcons. That went to Super Bowl.
They went to overtime.
Yeah. Remember they came back 28-3. We're going to talk about that in just a second.
Yep.
Yeah, but 28-3, they came back and won that game.
I would like to say our last podcast when we talked about X factors, I had my X factor was indeed the X factor. I felt like for and I don't even know if he was the X factor. Honestly, I think he was the factor. I think that he's the one player. Christian McCaffrey down a stretch ended up picking up a lot of total yards, but I can't remember a play where Christian McCaffrey really kind of said, "I'm here." You know what I mean? I think he was just kind of, he's getting good yards. He's getting good yards. You know what I mean? But I felt like as far as skill position players, that both Jawan Jennings, I guess Christian McCaffrey's catch and run on the touchdown, but both of those Jawan Jennings plays were like, hey, I came to play. Let's go win this thing. But yeah, Brock Purdy did. You're right, Carlos. He missed the plays because of pressure. We've been talking about this all year. We've been talking about the plays that are not stat plays that Chris Jones, when Josh Allen misses the throw, just the pressures of just having to guard or trying to block Chris Jones and his value to the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, yeah, I think what you saw was the playmakers for the Chiefs made plays with the quarterback and the defensive line and the coaching. And yeah,
we're gonna come back to this. I didn't want.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm out. I'm inactive now. I'm inactive. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one play away, man. It's one play away from the 49ers running out the clock and ending it in the fourth quarter. And that's just how that kind of football game goes. And like you said, man, when you're on the other side of it and you're not a fan, and when I'm watching the Patriots and Falcons or some of Brady's earlier Super Bowls or whatever, and you're watching it just from a football standpoint, you're like, how do all of the breaks go their way? You know what I mean? I'm not talking about bad calls or anything like that. I'm just saying, it seems like that they're lucky or they're whatever. The ball just bounces their way. And if we're keeping it a buck, one of the biggest plays of the entire game was Dre Greenlaw's rupturing his Achilles tendon, just trying to run on the field. Huge loss, massive loss. For the rest of the game. And so it's just kind of like, how does this happen? But yeah, I thought it was a fun Super Bowl to watch. I know, a lot of people that hate the Chiefs or dislike the Chiefs. I'm glad that there really wasn't a flag or some kind of very situation that was we would have won if, because honestly, if there was going to be it possibly could have been the hold on Jawan Jennings on third down on the drive in overtime. That could have been, an if they go down there and score a touchdown. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. I liked it. I celebrated. I went and bought shirts right afterwards.
Shout out to David Strother in the building. He said he was at the game. Hey, take me with you next year. I don't care if the Niners are playing or not.
Facts.
Take me with you next year. Anyway,
David was also at the A-Ward-Gwitty battle. So, David, which one was better? The A-Ward-Gwitty battle in Kansas City or the Super Bowl? Which one did you have more fun at?
But he said the one thing media isn't talking about was how hostile it was in the stadium. It had to be 80-20 Niners to Chiefs. He won in that super hot. Yeah, I mean, you could hear it. You could hear it. So overcoming what was supposed to be a neutral site game, but actually was more. I mean, you could just from the talk of the town during the week, you could hear was a lot of Niners fans in Vegas.
They're booing,
got to figure they were going to be having
boos and everything. Yeah,
for sure. So, yeah, good kudos to the team for overcoming that. Shout out to Ed. Ed says, "Do you think that the lineman was downfield on the McCaffrey touchdown?" I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like they let him play, right? There were things you could call on both sides. You know, I've already seen Niners fans. Trying to say, "Oh, look at this hold here. Look at this missed call there." We're not doing that, man. We're not doing that. Listen, matter of fact, hopefully this doesn't blow anybody's speakers out when I play this. But listen, guys.
Told me it was my turn.
You can talk all that you want to, yell and scream. You lost.
It is my turn.
You lost the game.
Yeah, we thought it was our time. We thought it was our time. We thought we were going to get a win against Patrick Mahomes. You know. But shout out to David. David said that one costs a lot more than the other. Yeah. But yeah, man, my major takeaway from the game is it's literally a game of inches. It's to win a championship on any level, you're going to need execution, you're going to need talent, but you're also going to need the luck. You're going to need breaks to fall your way. And the Chiefs in this game, you lose Dre Greenlaw, as you talked about. Shout out to Oren Burks. He did his thing. But if you go watch those highlights from late in the game and you see who's catching passes, and it is UC 48. As a matter of fact, there's a play where Oren Burks and Logan Ryan are trying to get the communication right. They're clearly confused. The ball is snapped, and Oren Burks is looking around like a child who just realized his parents are not with him anymore. Right? Like the ball is snapped and he's like, and I had to imagine this is his eyes. Like he's looking like what is going on right now. And so losing Dre Greenlaw, 7 fumbles in this game, 6 of them recovered by Kansas City. You could play that game 10 times and have 7 fumbles happen and they won't recover 6 of them again. A punt falling from the sky, not bouncing off the ground and ricocheting off a player's leg. It hit his leg on the way down, right? And if there's one great lesson we can learn from the playoffs of 2023-2024 season, if the ball is loose, guys, fall on it. Don't try to be a hero. We saw this in multiple games of fumbles being on the ground, people trying to scoop it up. In some instances, it didn't come back to haunt them, and this one it did. I'm not necessarily mad at Ray McCloud. He said, listen, I was trying to make a play.
Very impressed that Ray McCloud saw it. Like I think he saw it hit the guy's foot. I think
yes, he did. He did.
And that is lost to have that vision and be able to know that that's what happened. Because I personally would have just been like, all right, I'm just gonna let it bounce. But he saw it. You know, now he definitely should have jumped on it though.
I had 2 outbursts during the game. Like legit losing my mind. That was the first one. When that happened, I went nuts. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you touch the ball? You know what could happen. And they showed the replay and I went, oh, my bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I want you to fall on the ball, but I'm not mad that you tried, you saw that and was able to try to make a play in the moment. The Harrison Butker 57-yard field goal, it misses being blocked by inches. Mm-hmm. The Jake Moody field goal gets blocked, right? So, I mean, all of these things, it's not one reason or one play why you win or lose a game, but I just listed out 4 or 5 things, just boom, boom, boom. If you take maybe one of those away, maybe we have a different result. Maybe we have a different outcome. I I know Kyle Shanahan, there's been a lot made of him. I won't get too much into that. I'm not mad at anything that he did in that game. I don't think he did too much wrong. But yeah, I think the only thing I would critique him on is him taking. Oh wow, this game is over. The only thing I'll critique him on is not running the ball after the interception, right? They went 2 series back to back, 3 straight passes, 3 straight in and outs. 3 and outs. And I might have had three and outs back to back to back in that series where they just couldn't get anything going in the second half. I would have liked to have seen Christian McCaffrey get some touches in those 2 back-to-back 3 and outs where they went 6 straight passes. So, I think that might be the one major thing. I have another thing we'll get into in a second. That would probably be the one major thing. People have tried to say, well, they didn't, to use that particular instance to say, well, they didn't run the ball enough. And I'm like, well, Christian McCaffrey had 22 rushes. I don't know how many more times you want him to touch the ball in that game, but between rushing and receiving, he had 30 touches. So you can't say that he didn't try to get one of his best players the ball. He did.
He had 160 total yards, right?
I think it was 80 receiving, 80 rushing. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have qualms. Like I think you had 2 good teams who turned up in the second half. I think they scored. So it was 13 at halftime. It was 25-22 to end the game. So what, they scored 34 points after half, right? They turned up. And I don't, like I said, I don't have too many qualms from the game, man. Like I said, this loss for me as a fan of the Niners stinks more than the one in 2019 because I was not confident in my quarterback in 2019. Right? I can go and pull up the quote from the show. I said, listen, I am confident in my defense. I'm confident in my coaches. I'm not confident in my quarterback. And for that reason, I'm picking Kansas City. I picked Kansas City this time because I thought that the defense was not going to play as well as it did. For the first half and for much of the third quarter, right? Like they held them. They were stopping the Chiefs. They were at 6 points. And that after that fumble, muff punt, however you want to stress it, the game turned around and no one stopped anyone after that. There was scores on every play.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was, like I said, a conditioning thing or not, but the defensive line just seemed to kind of fall off after that halfway through the third quarter. It wasn't as intimidating as before. Like, man, the first half of the game when Pacheco got the ball, I was happy to get 3 yards. I'm like, please, can we at least be a 2nd and 7? But I think the Chiefs opened up the playbook a little bit. I think that with some of their downfield passing, and man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Not only that, but I've been critical, and we've been critical of Matt Nagy this year. But I thought down the stretch in the fourth quarter and overtime, whoever was calling the plays called a great game for the Chiefs offensive, like when it comes to the play calls. The 4th and 1, the read option, some of the crossing routes, some of the screen passes that they threw in, even the middle screen to Kelsey that I thought was going to be the touchdown to win it, which would have freaking blown the top off of the world if Kelsey catches that mug and runs into the end zone. But yeah, I definitely have been critical of Nagy in the past, and I think that definitely second half wise, he called a great game.
Yeah. I mean, credit where credit is due. They made some changes. Spagnuolo turned it up in the second half defensively with the pressure. I think Brock Purdy was pressured on 50% of his dropbacks in the second half, which makes his performance to me even more impressive when you're facing that kind of pressure. Once the Chiefs take the lead for the first time, they go up 13-10. Brock Purdy, the rest of the game is 10 of 16. I forget for how many passing yards, but he goes 10 of 16, 1 passing touchdown, 2 other drives that resulted in field goals. And again, he matched Mahomes score for score. The Chiefs get a touchdown, they answer with a touchdown to take the lead again. The Chiefs get a field goal, they answer with a field goal. The Chiefs answer with another field goal to tie the game. He answers with another one himself, right? And so to the last 4 possessions where the San Francisco 49ers stepped on the field. By the time they left, Brock Purdy had staked his defense with the lead. The last 4 times he touched the ball, he made something happen. And as a Niner fan, I am pleasantly pleased with his performance in the Super Bowl. I think certain people have tried to frame it well, since he didn't beat the 3-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, undisputed best player of his generation, top 10, top 5, maybe top 3, depending on how you want to place it, quarterback of all time. Well, he's not him. He's not good anymore because he couldn't beat that guy. And I'm like, but it's a lot of people who can't beat that guy. So what are we doing here? And to me, it really frustrates my soul that we have a culture that is so invested in winning, so invested in mythologizing winners, and so invested in kicking losers when they're down that we cannot even for one moment celebrate the story that is Brock Purdy. Like, forget the irrelevant stuff, right? Second youngest player to ever start a Super Bowl. Only Dan Marino was younger. You're facing the defending champions with everything on the line. And you hear player after player talk about when you get in a Super Bowl, your adrenaline is pumping, your emotions are all over the place because you realize how massive and big of a moment this was. And again, I said 21-10 would be the final score. When the Chiefs took the lead, I didn't think the Niners were scoring it. They had gone 3 and out over and over again. The offense was stagnant. And I was like, well, that's game. And what did he do? He came back out and said, oh, I got you. Touchdown. Oh, they came back and kicked a field goal. Oh, I got you. We'll match them. And so I want to take for a second, stop for a second and appreciate the season that he had, the season that he's put together. I hope that he can continue that success, and we'll see what he gets paid if he does. I don't think he should be making $50 million a year, but I don't think any quarterback except for Patrick Mahomes should be making $50 million a year. So we'll see what that looks like for him going forward. But yeah, man.
Do you think he should be making that second tier money though? Because I wonder, does he deserve it? Maybe, but I wondered, do we feel like Purdy needs the high paid wide receivers around him? He needs the money in his skill position players.
I've said this before and I say it again. I don't know if Brock Purdy does not possess elite athletic skills, right? So pressure in his face is always going to be a problem, especially because he's only 6'1" and he's got Chris Jones freaking running at him at full speed, right? So I'm not going to kill anybody for not being able to hit a player 40 yards downfield when you got that guy running in your face with his hands up. He's fast, but he's not the fastest guy. Like, he can be tracked down, right? Especially if you already have a couple of yards of built-up speed chasing him. If he puts up another season, let's just say they go to another NFC title game, but they lose. So no Super Bowl. He would have, there's not another quarterback in the league named Patrick Mahomes who's going to have that on his resume.
Right. I'm not talking about deserve, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, can he reach those games without the money being put into the skill position players?
Look, he came back in that game against, was it Debo played in the game against the Lions, I think. I don't think he got hurt in that game. I think he got hurt in the Packer game. Yeah. And he got hurt pretty early. And the story was, well, he can't win a game if he doesn't have Debo, right? Yeah. The story coming out of this game is that George Kittle was hurt, and I don't know for how much of the game.
He was hurt before the game. He had a toe issue, right? Leading into
it. He had a shoulder issue. So when he left the field in overtime and was gone for like 8 plays, they went to the locker room to go check out his shoulder.
He got that Toradol. Yes.
So he lost the game there. He was lost for stretches of the game. Who knows how effective he was in that game?
He was lost for a play that was a big penalty, too, on the backup tight end. Huge
Absolutely.
Play.
Absolutely. So, who knows what his availability was? Debo left the game for stretches with an injury, and who knows how that impacted his ability to perform down the stretch. You lose your starting right guard, right? So, again, we talk about all these being better to be lucky than good. Injury luck is a part of that, and they lost a lot. in that game.
I just think they're just really soft because the Chiefs' offensive lineman played 3 quarters with a torn UCL. You saw that report that came out a little while ago?
Who's that?
Allegretti.
Allegretti.
Yeah, in the second quarter, he fully tore the UCL in his elbow.
Ooh.
Yeah, and played the whole rest of the game against Kinlaw and all those guys with a fully torn UCL in his elbow. What a freaking beast.
Nice. That's crazy. Comments from the peanut gallery who don't know ball.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, like I think if he puts up another season like that, with or without the top end talent, I think you got to pay the guy because again, this didn't happen with Jimmy. It happened. Now he made 2, not 3 in a row, right? He made 2 in like 4 years or something like that because he got injured.
What's crazy is I think I read a stat today. I don't know if you posted it or not. The last 7 times that the Niners have been to the playoffs, they've either lost in the division or the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, right? It's been like because they win a stretch without going, but
that might be true, bro. Because Alex Smith, they lost to the Giants the year they won the Super Bowl. That was the NFC title game. Kyle Williams fumbles the punt in overtime. You had the year Kaepernick goes to the Super Bowl. The next year they lose the NFC title game to the Seahawks. You have
I was trying to see if I can find out where I saw it at.
You got Jimmy. Jimmy made it to the Super Bowl in 2019. They get hurt. They were seriously hurt next year. The next year, they lose to the Rams in the NFC title game. This is right. I'm running it down.
Yeah.
Then Brock Purdy, and then Brock Purdy. So that should be 7, I think.
Yeah, so
you got 2.
When they make the playoffs, they're pretty much
Man, that's kind of crazy. I never thought of that before. That's pretty crazy. Huh. All right. That's pretty dope. Well, hopefully they can get back there next year, man. But that road is going to be a lot tougher. Who knows who they're going to re-sign?
I said a couple times this week, I'm like, man, this is what it felt like to be a Patriot fan back in the days and be like, as long as 12 gets the ball, we're good. You know what I mean? Like, we believe that, you know what I mean? But it just kind of finally clicks when you're just like, nah, 15 got the ball, he gets a chance, it's good. We're good, you know? And it's so funny, just the full circleness of, and this could go for the whole game, but for the Chiefs regardless, like all year long, the biggest thing has been the drops and the wide receivers. And listen, the 3 reception, well, I guess there's 4 technically, but the 3 receivers that caught touchdown passes in your Super Bowl were MVS, Mecole Hardman, and Jawan Jennings. They were not Travis Kelce. They were not Deebo. They were not Brandon Ayuk. They were not, George Kittle. They were literally the reception. Christian McCaffrey caught one, but it's from Jawan Jennings. Like the touchdowns that were scored were the touchdowns where a defense says, your best guy's not going to beat me. I'm going to make you – somebody else is going to have to. And I think another one of the biggest things that, I know last week we talked about the turnover battle and different things like that is them 2 dogs on the corners, bro. Them 2 dogs, McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed. They might be the MVPs. They might really be the MVPs.
No, the MVP, if it wasn't Mahomes, it's Chris Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Because all due respect
he altered the important plays.
All due respect to Snead in particular, but on 2 critical, crucial plays,
it was beat.
He gets smoked. Deebo smoked him on the route. Chris Jones beats his man. He bears down on Purdy. Purdy can't set his feet fast enough to get an accurate throw out. Then the final play of overtime for the Niners on offense, 3rd and 4. They don't block. They don't block Chris Jones. And he's got 2 options because Jawan Jennings, I didn't know this until I saw the view from the backside looking from the offense, right? And not the TV camera. Jawan Jennings has beaten his man.
Yeah.
He's got the first down, and if there's an accurate pass,
yeah, he's in the end zone.
If he puts it on him, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
And Brandon Ayuk smoked Snead off the snap. So even if they had taken Jennings away and he had time to scan back the other way, there's nobody back there. And I know Dan Orlovsky said that he took 3 touchdowns off the board. I don't know what the third one was, but I know those were 2, and those are 2 of the biggest plays of the game. And so I don't know if he's going to be back in Kansas City next year, but we said this last week. If they build statues, if they start putting statues outside of Arrowhead, Chris Jones deserves a statue. He has earned it. He deserves a statue, and he needs one outside of Arrowhead when his career is not just a Ring of Honor guy, but he needs to have a statue outside with his likeness because of what he did.
That defensive line, man.
All right, let's jump into it.
I was just gonna say, man, I don't want to say Chris Jones is replaceable like Tyreek Hill was. I mean, I don't think in the moment we thought Tyreek Hill was replaceable. But I'll say this much, man. That defensive line has some budding stars on it. The kid that got hurt, Omenihu, I think the K-State kid could turn into a good player. You know, you already got Mike Dana. You got the other guy that freaking manhandled Trent Williams on that tackle on
Pennell.
McCaffrey. I've never seen anybody do Trent Williams like that in my entire life. Like, I don't know if he just caught him off balance or what.
Listen, I watched Myles Garrett throw him like he was a sack of trash this year. So, I mean, you know, but I mean, like to even talk about like Snead and Trent, right? You get beat sometimes, right? And as great as Trent Williams is, sometimes you just get beat. And he got smashed in that rep against Pennell. So I wanna ask this question. Let's talk about overtime. First, let's go here. Let's talk about. Well, let me get this out the way because I got this. So I talked about how much it stunk to lose that Super Bowl, and you had a Super Bowl party, and you had people over, and you know, you invited me over. It was Leah's birthday. Happy belated birthday, Leah. And I was like, well, you know, I don't think I'm going to come over. I had my little cousins come over. Their mom, she went to the game. So not to like in the stadium, but she was in Vegas for the game. So we had them at our house hanging out with us. And we're watching the game. They finished the touchdown. And like the kids are going crazy. I am sitting in my chair fuming. I am hot. I am furious. They lost this game, and they're running around. Yes, Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Red Kingdom, Red Kingdom. You know, and I have to. You know, I'm taking it all in. Mm-hmm. I'm being a good sport, and my wife is like, "Oh, go hug cousin Carlos. Go hug daddy. You know, his team lost, so show them some love." And so they're like, "Oh, cousin Carlos or dad," so they're hugging me, and I'm being gracious, right? Right. So I said all that to set this up.
You just like pick one up, body slam them right as they're like, "Oh, thank you."
At the moment this game ends, you can hear that, right?
Yeah.
This is the reaction at the Ward Mansion. Right? That's the reaction. And let me tell you something. Had I been there when everybody's losing their mind and going crazy.
What's the movie? Is it Half Baked or is it Half Baked or Dazed and Confused? Oh my gosh! F you, you're cool. F you.
Yeah, that might have been me. I might have stood up, did that, and on my way out the door, would have hit you with this too.
Yes.
On my way out the door, because I just was not in the mood to celebrate Chiefs Kingdom. 4 years ago, I was okay celebrating Chiefs Kingdom. Not this year. I was not in the mood to celebrate anything.
Yeah, Trent came at halftime and brought his kids over. You know, and Trent has 4 kids, so they pulled up at halftime, and his kids are, I want to say, Abby might be 13 around. She might be a teenager.
Close.
And she's either
10, probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah. You know. And there was a couple times where I didn't even remember kids were there. Get on a damn ball! Like I'm just in the, you know, like, and I was like, yo, man, I gotta chill for a second. But I will say this: The Chiefs should thank me. Really, I don't know if they should thank me or not, but I
Hold
kind
on,
of am.
hold on 1 second, Ward. Hold on 1 second. Now you gonna keep playing. I'm gonna put this camera on you. Oh yeah. Okay, my wife over here making crying faces. Yeah, okay.
I love the Facebook picture, man. That kills me that she changed the Facebook picture. Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
but
So
you were saying the Chiefs should thank you.
So the Chiefs should thank me, right? Because I'm strategic about what I do. I do believe the Chiefs play better when they're down points. I do believe they play better when they're down points. I have 2 Chiefs jerseys that when I wear them, we lose. And then I have 2 Chiefs jerseys that when I wear them, we win. And I started the game off with one of the loser jerseys. And at halftime, I changed to the winner jersey. So I come back downstairs with the winner jersey on after halftime. We take the win. I'm excited. But we're talking about the overtime rules, though. So we're talking about the overtime rules. And
So
the question is.
Yes. Let me ask you this. Do you think it was a big deal that the Niners didn't know?
No. So I'll put it to you this way. And I say that now because of what Kyle Shanahan came out and said, which I don't know if he just said it because or if that's really what his way of thinking was. I think the Niners coaches knew the rules, right?
Yes, I agree.
I think some of the Niners football players knew the rules, right? I just think that you heard from some that didn't know the rules. Also, the rule change to most of football fans was, okay, cool. Now, if the first team scores a touchdown, the next team gets the ball and they can match the touchdown, right? For most football fans that pay attention to it, they know this as the rule that hindered the Chiefs from reaching the Super Bowl when Tom Brady won it his last year with the Patriots, or one of his last years with the Patriots.
Right. Yep.
Because Tom Brady got the ball, they come down, they score. Mahomes never gets a chance. Fast forward a couple years, same thing happens. Mahomes gets the ball, comes down, scores a touchdown. Josh Allen doesn't get a chance. Boom, rule change in effect. Most football fans assume that was the rule change. That's all it was. But that rule change affects some other rules, and affects some other ways you look at overtime. And so, when I heard them explaining it, and when I heard the referee, doing the coin toss and him saying, this is a new game. And that's when I said, okay, it's a new game. Cool, because I was wondering, does the game clock, are you against the game clock as well? And you're not. And that would be the one that I'd be okay with a lot of players being like, yeah, I didn't know that. Everybody should have known, they changed the rule. Touchdown, you get to match it. So I didn't think too much about it until Kyle Shanahan come out and says, listen, we took the ball first because we were going to score a touchdown. If Mahomes scored a touchdown, then we would have the ability to go third and end the game. Now, Patrick Mahomes came out and said, I don't know if Andy Reid wants me telling y'all this, but we were going for 2. he said, listen, that's just what it was going to be. Like, there wasn't going to be no third possession, But yeah, so I don't think it affected. I mean, it affected how they played. But I think it could have affected the Chiefs had they not known. I think it definitely could have affected the Chiefs. And I don't know. I'm just thinking about the timeout situation with the clock running down because a lot of people in my household were freaking out. Why? And I'm like, no, it's the second quarter. It goes to the second quarter. They keep the ball. If the time runs out, it's not a lot of people are like, and they were freaking out to the point to where it was starting to make me rethink my logic on it. And I'm like, no, this is not like, there's a reason why the Chiefs are not called, but I can only imagine if looking back on it, the Chiefs would have let that time run out to run the play at the second quarter or whatever. I can only imagine that tweets and some of the scares from some people would have really freaked out.
So I'm doing this rhetorical exercise because I agree the players not knowing the rule didn't matter a lick. So I'm going to go through this rhetorical exercise with you to spell it out for those who seem to somehow think that that the Chiefs talking about the overtime rule.
The courts. Okay, keep going.
to have the Chiefs knowing the overtime rules and being prepared for it while the Niners not knowing about it somehow makes a lick of difference, okay? So, in football, the objective for the offense is what?
To score points. Oh, it's rhetorical exercise. My bad.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you can answer it, though. You can answer it, though. I want you to answer it. So the offense's objective is to what?
Make touchdowns.
And if they can't get a touchdown, then what?
Make field goals.
Okay. The defense's job is to do what?
Prevent you from making touchdowns or field goals.
Thank you. That objective is the same in the first quarter as it is in the fourth quarter, right?
Correct.
That objective is the same in overtime, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So for all of you, I want to stop short of calling you a name. For all of you who believe that somehow the Chiefs talking about this overtime rule somehow made them more prepared or more ready for the moment than the Niners, need to stop. You sound like an idiot. You sound stupid. The objective for Kyle Shanahan was to score a touchdown. Now, to Ward's point, right? If they do that and the Chiefs go down and they score a touchdown, they go for 2, then that's just, we see who wins at that point, right? But this idea that somehow this was a lesson in leadership, that this was a lesson in preparedness, as if the Chiefs had an entirely new set of plays ready. Like when the referee said new game, the Chiefs said, break the glass, new playbook. We are ready for this moment. We have practiced these plays just for this occasion. If you tell me that, then yes, I will then have some comment and some narrative about reflection on preparedness and leadership and being ready for the moment and championship medal. But this was the same Chiefs team that the majority of the fan base was going bonkers over because they did not look prepared. They were not executing well. They were not playing at a championship level. Good for them. Kudos to them for being able to flip that switch and turn it on once the playoffs got here. Because all of those guys, the McCole Hartmans, the MVSs, the tackles, all these people who have been ridiculed all season long played at a championship level. So golf clap, kudos to them. But don't sit here and act as if somehow the Chiefs wanted it more or they were somehow the better team simply because they talked about the strategy regarding the overtime rules. No matter what strategy you talk, you still have to come out and execute. I felt like yesterday I was in the Matrix listening to people just go on and on about how this is such a bad look for the Niners. And I'm like, why does it even matter? It does not matter, not one single iota. So with that being said, let's talk about Kyle's decision now. His decision to go for it, to take the ball first. In your estimation, bad decision, good decision, indifferent?
I'm kind of indifferent. The Chiefs had just driven down and tied the game. So your defense has just been on the field, right? And so the Chiefs drove down pretty far to tie the game. You know what I mean? Like I think they get down to like the 10-yard line or something like that. It's a 20-something yard field goal for Butker. So they're moving the ball pretty well against your defense. And the Chiefs have been sending those blitzes. They're blitzing Purdy all fourth quarter. So you run the risk of if you let the Chiefs get the ball first, you have a tired defense, right? You have a tired defense. No team. You run the risk that you have a tired defense. They march down there, they score, and then now you're having to deal with Brock Purdy. With these blitz packages that are coming all over the place. So I'm not mad at it. However, on the flip side, man, I didn't think of it too much until they started talking about it. Was giving Patrick Mahomes 4 downs to get 10 yards is actually it's a mental, it's like, bro, we got 4 downs. We good. You know what I mean? All the way down the field, that is an interesting concept there. I think they obviously thought that they were going to go down there and score. I don't know if they knew they were going to get 7. But Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. I don't know why the NFL doesn't just go to the college rules. I'm not saying 25-yard line, but I'm saying like the game clock to me. I think we talked about it a little bit. The game clock to me is pointless outside of once it hits 0. There's maybe a little lengthier commercial break. So you kind of get an extra timeout. I don't know if I don't think there was a 2-minute warning. Was there? No. So, essentially what would have happened was it probably would have went to the second quarter and maybe there would have been I don't know if there would have been a 2-minute warning there, but the game clock essentially is pointless in a sense other than that break, which I think you can kind of go in and maybe make those changes, somewhere else. But yeah, I don't know why they don't just, kind of move towards that college.
So I would think you mean in terms of the clock, right? Not in terms of putting on a 25. Okay.
No, yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll say this. I don't mind Kyle taking the ball. I think you listen to people talk about it after the game. I think it might have been Mina Kimes who said she talked to several different analytics staffers across the league. None of them had any real definitive answer either way. Some of them said it's fine to take the ball. Some others said you want the ball second. A lot of people brought up the college rule because of the college overtime, right? I think almost 100% of the teams defer if they win the coin toss.
Yeah. They know what they got to
get. But to me, the dynamics of that are different because you're starting from from the opponent's 25, right? If you tell me that's the rule they're going to implement in the NFL, then yeah, you always defer. But when you have to drive the length of the field to try to get a score, I'm not mad at you taking the ball. My only critique of Kyle in that moment would be this. Once you cross the 50, you are now in 4-down territory, short of it being 4th and 10, 4th and 15, 4th and 20. If you are 4th and 7 and in, to me, you have to go for it for this reason. Because, yes, it is Patrick Mahomes on the other side. You have to that has to factor into your decision making. And because it doesn't really matter if you kick a field goal, it is now sudden death. Like the moment you kick the field goal and you make it, it's sudden death because if they score a touchdown, the game is over. Yeah. You get a stop, the game is over. So once you cross midfield, you have to play it in that fashion. And I would not have been mad at him in the moment or after the fact had he decided to line up on 4th and 4 and say, let's see what we can get. I personally would have probably gone the Dan Campbell route and ran it to see what we could get first. And if we got any headway, then we're automatically going for it if we get any yardage, as long as we don't lose anything. But you disagree.
The 3rd and 4 call, I just disagree with it because, man, I think we talked a little bit about it last week when we were talking about Dan Campbell. I'm just like, yo, a penalty, a fumbled, man. How many low snaps were there? How many low snaps did Patrick Mahomes have to almost pick up off the ground, right? One play like that on that final drive for Mahomes. Now, granted, like we said, it seems like that never happens when it's the team of destiny or dynasty, whatever, right? One play like that, and you're in such better position to just outright win that game by the field goal that you just got, So you're banking on either your guys making a stop or the most penalized offensive tackle in the NFL getting a holding call, or a snap, being, or what, somebody missing an assignment. So I'm not mad at the field goal. I do, however, think that the call on 3rd and 4 with Christian McCaffrey, essentially, I mean, I know he ran, he probably only averaged close to 4 yards a carry. But it seemed like he was, was running pretty well down the stretch. And he's your best player. He's the best player on the team. He's the best player on the offense, I think. And it's like, hey, I'm in the get the ball in his hands category.
I think it went in spurts. He would have a couple of good. The first quarter, I think he was really killing it, right? Yeah. I mean, he was 3.6 yards per carry. So you got to salute the Chiefs for being able to shut down their running game. I think L'Jarius Sneed had a quote of, I believe, had a quote of, we wanted to make Brock Purdy throw. And I think what he is intimating there is that they wanted to try to get the Niners behind the chains so then they could try to put pressure on them. I think some people might read that and say, oh, he didn't beat those game manager allegations when you see a quote like that.
Yeah.
Right. But I think what he was intimating there is that we want to shut down their running game so we can then try to put pressure on Brock and blitz him. Even though Brock was the best quarterback against the blitz in the league this year, the way that the Chiefs disguised their looks, the way that they the way that they disguise their looks, it makes it really hard to decipher post snap. Shout out to JC, said, I feel like the Niners had plenty of chances to feed CMC after the fumble. I mean, he had 22 carries, like I said. So they fed him. He cannot walk away from that game saying he didn't get enough touches, because he did.
No. And he ended up in the end zone too, like he does
for sure.
Like he always does.
So yeah, so I mean, I think that's my.
I'm trying to think of who KT is. I didn't even know he had an abbreviation, Boomer. Like I didn't even know we were that cool with him to like give him like, I'm like, KT. What? Hold on, who was KT?
Man.
And shout out to Miko Hardman, man. Shout out to Mark Valdez-Scantling, man. Shout out to those guys. Like like I said, full circle. You're criticized all year. We had shows where we asked, should some of these guys be cut? Should they not be on this anymore? You got Richie James in there. You got all of these guys that were like, these guys don't make teams anywhere else. And all they did was keep their head down, stick with it. And shout out to Rashee Rice. Shout out to the fire that Rashee Rice has yelling at his quarterback as he's wide open coming across the middle. I just like the team, man. I like the team. I do think it's interesting that they talked about on the, I don't know, was it on the, I don't know if heard it on Sports Talk or on the actual, it's like, when you see the arguments on the sidelines and the aggression and the passion and everything, that's usually from a team that is falling apart. That's not the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what I mean? They're able to still keep the continuity within them as they're allowing those the passion to get out. But had we lost, I would very much be interested in seeing what the outlook on that Kelsey and Andy Reid situation was. Because wow.
Yeah. So let me, couple of closing thoughts I'll share. First of all, if you listen to the show over the last 2 years, I've been trying to tell you that the Chiefs were a dynasty. They did not need to win a third championship for me to see them as such. When you look at what they've done over the past 6 years, AFC title game after AFC title game, 4 Super Bowl appearances, the ridiculous fact of playing all your games at home. Then when they said, oh, well, you can't do it without Tyreek. Well, he did it without Tyreek. Oh, well, now let's see you go on the road. Oh, he went on the road. Super Bowl in basically a road environment. There's this was a dynasty,
but like,
guys.
bro, I'm sure there has been. I'm sure there's been more difficult runs, but I mean, there's not very many. Like this isn't Florida Atlantic, Texas Tech, and then somebody. It's like March Madness. Whenever I end up playing an 11 seed in the Final Four, now an 8 seed. You know what I mean? Like, they played the Dolphins. They went to Buffalo. They went to the Ravens, and they beat the best team all year, pretty much. 49ers in the Super Bowl. Like, yeah.
By DVOA standards, it is the toughest road a team has ever faced to win a championship. Because I think all 4 of those teams were top 10 in DVOA at the time that they faced them.
Yeah.
So to continue, right? Like I said, this team was a dynasty before the 3rd Super Bowl. It's the Chiefs, and there's everybody else. I said it last week. The Patriots stepped down off the throne. They handed the scepter to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and they now are sitting atop the NFL world. And it's not going to be just beating them 1 year means we have the title has been passed down. You're going to have to beat them year after year after year before you can say the dynasty is ended. It's number one. Number two, let me say this about Brock Purdy. I've always felt that what Cam Newton said with the game manager thing was a backhanded compliment. I felt that way then. I feel even more strongly about it now. He has not played like a game manager. A game manager has always been an insult. Let me repeat that. A game manager has always been an insult. It has never been something that people has used as a compliment. And we're not going to try to sit here and reclaim that and act as if now calling someone a game manager is something to be proud of, something that we should applaud. It's not. It has never been that. And when he came back and when Brock led the Niners back in those playoff games, he moved the goalpost and said, well, he can't be a game changer because he's not the best player in his offense. That wasn't a part of his analysis the first time around. So don't throw that game manager crap in my face, because I'm going to step into your face and say, not today, Satan. Brock Purdy has played like a top 10 quarterback. We don't have game managers in the top 10, people. I'm sorry. The second he stops playing like a top 10 quarterback, I'll be the first one to point it out. Final point on Kyle Shanahan. I think it is utterly ridiculous that Kyle Shanahan is accused of losing 3 Super Bowls. When one of them, he was the offensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn has skated for years on this. He is never brought to task on this. It blows my mind. We have got to stop doing this. We cannot keep saying, well, Kyle Shanahan has blown three 10-point leads in Super Bowls. No, Dan Quinn blew a Super Bowl. Name another offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator who's been blamed for a loss in the Super Bowl. Please, I'll wait. Please tell me. The Seattle Seahawks had the ball on the 1-yard line with a top 5 running back in the NFL and a timeout in their pocket to win a Super Bowl, threw a pass that was intercepted, and not a single soul I brought this fact up to can tell me the offensive coordinator's name. Not a single soul. If you want to talk about Luke being a scapegoat or being the reason someone lost, that is it. You might as well name Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson as co-OCs of that Super Bowl loss, because it might have been Brian Schottenheimer. I don't know. But please stop saying Kyle Shanahan has lost 3 Super Bowls. He's lost 2 and only 2. Thank you. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. All right. Anything else you want to say about the Super Bowl?
All I want to say is I think there's a really good chance this team can three-peat. I think there's a really good chance this team can three-peat. It's funny. Last year, we believed that the division 2 years ago. Oh, Russell Wilson's in Denver. We got, Khalil Mack. I think he came over to the Chargers. The Raiders pick up Devontae Adams. This division has gotten so much stronger and so much better. And the Chiefs ran through it, win the Super Bowl. This year, I think we were pretty much the clear-cut favorite to win the division. But I still think there were rumblings of, the Herberts and this, that, and the third. Going into next year, bringing Harbaugh into the Los Angeles Chargers, Antonio Pierce taking over with the Raiders, and I would probably not be surprised if they traded to try to find a quarterback or moved up to try to pick somebody up. And then I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have maybe kind of figured something out. I don't know. But anyway, I still think going into next year, the Chiefs are the clear-cut, team to win the division again. And probably top 2, out of the AFC to return to the Super Bowl. I think the Niners will be a favorite in the NFC as well. And I think you can really three-peat. I think, I don't know. Willie Gay, I'm pretty sure, is gone. L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones, I would not like to lose both of them. But I don't know. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can keep one of them or not. But it's going to be some new players, and I'm hoping that just because we won a Super Bowl again without Tyreek and without Juju, please do not put us through another season of thinking that we can. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Bring somebody in.
So I'll say this. All due respect to L'Jarius Sneed, you might want to bring back Chris Jones, man. If you gotta pick one.
Well, yeah, L'Jarius Sneed was also one of the most penalized players in the NFL last year too.
I mean, again, I'm not going to go back through the history, but there are so many plays where Chris Jones is saving the Chiefs' bacon. I just don't know if you lose that guy, you're not. I mean, look, maybe Brett Veach hits, finds lightning in a bottle. He finds an interior lineman who can be just as impactful as Chris in big moments. So I don't want to speak too far out of school. But if Chris Jones walks, preferably to San Francisco, if he walks, I think that three-peat gets a lot.
Yeah, I think Chris Jones has
accomplish.
assisted McDuffie and Snead's stats much more than McDuffie and Snead have assisted Chris Jones' stats. I don't think you're seeing a lot of pressure sacks. You know what I mean? Or a lot of, coverage sacks, where Chris Jones just has the ability to run around and you're seeing a lot of plays where thank God Chris Jones got there in 2 seconds because that could have been a touchdown.
Yeah. As far as the Niners, they got a lot to do to clean up. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Brandon Ayuk's girlfriend has said they think they're not. She doesn't think they're coming back. His brother got on Instagram. Ayuk himself said, "Well, we'll see what happens. I think if they offer him a bag, he'll stay.
Yeah. Kinlaw.
I think they need Jawan Jennings back. So yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. But yeah, the Chiefs should be in a good position to three-peat because they got Patrick Mahomes, and as long as he's healthy, it doesn't matter if Chris Jones isn't there. They'll always have a chance. Last thing on the NFL, JC said, "What is your definition of a dynasty?" Though mine is going all the way multiple times. My definition of a dynasty is sustained excellence over a long period of time. Now, I granted, we're not talking about a 10-year stretch here, but again, almost 6 years. And they are one overtime and one bad half of quarterback away from 6 straight Super Bowl appearances, which would be freaking insane. That's unprecedented. It's never happened before. Right? So 4 appearances in 5 years, 3 titles in 5 years. And right now, I don't know who's going to beat them, guys. Everybody said this was Buffalo's year. Everybody said this when they beat Buffalo, when they beat Baltimore. Everybody said that was their year as well. I don't know who's going to do it. If you didn't do it this year, they're not running back with that same wide receiver core.
They can't. I mean, they can. They can, but they can't.
Listen, KT might as well stand for keep trucking because he's out of here. He's not coming back. You know what I'm saying? They're going to tell MVS, see ya. McCall, maybe. I don't think so. And I think Scott Moore will be kept because he's on a rookie contract and it's just cheap labor.
They might keep Justin Watson around for cheap labor too, but other than that.
Special teams. He's going to be around for special teams. But everybody else, man, I think they're getting a walk.
Before we leave, man, shout out to Chris Conley, former Chief. He actually played a pretty good game too, man. He was a dog on special teams.
He did his thing on had a catch.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Conley. He definitely won the Chris Conley or Richie James, who was going to be the former other team's player that played better. So I'm taking Chris Conley
for sure. So last thing, man, as we close up shop, Cody wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. If you haven't seen it, Big K is your champion of the year for 2023. New Jersey Twerk finished second. Shout out to Chef Trez, had an amazing year. He finished third. You yourself finished 10. I know you were watching the proceedings before the show started, so I'll give you the floor to kind of talk about how you feel about your year, where you ranked, and the overall, I guess, top 3, if you will.
Yeah, I've said it a couple times on different podcasts. Champion of the year is an unsolvable math problem. It really is. There's not a real answer to champion of the year. It's a bunch of people looking at a bunch of different resumes on different leagues from different types of battlers and judging 7 or 8 different subjective categories, trying to remove emotion and trying to remove bias. And then comparing them side by side, and it's really just there's no real science to it. There's no real this is what it is type thing. So lately in my last couple of years, I've been able to kind of look at it from that standpoint because it really kind of drove me a little bit crazy there the first few years. Really took a lot of things personal. I'm pleased with every year with the work that Jay Black puts in. Man, like he could just be like, nah, I'm cool, and just be Jay Black. You know what I mean? I don't, it's like he does this for us. for the culture. He every year it seems like he's implementing new changes and new, hey, now we have this champion gold thing. We have these guys that I know, I trust, and I walk through the whole year with, that I know watch battles and study battles and different things like that. I think that's really cool. It was good to see that the panel, had kind of been shrunk down. It was good to see a couple people not on the panel, and it was good to see a battle rapper on the panel this year, with Chilla Jones stepping in and giving his insight from a battle rapper standpoint. I thought that my own personal, opinion, I thought that, Big K and New Jersey Twerk both had, a good case to win champion of the year, and they both ended up in the top 2. So, when I say it's an unsolvable math problem, they got the 2 guys up at the top, that I thought, deserved to be up at the top, and then with my own personal placement, I tweeted it out. I thought I should have been anywhere from 5 to 7. I would have been fine, with 7. So for them to be kind of three spots behind at 10, I'm not completely irate, like the one year that I was started at 7 and then got shoved back to 20. I'm not irate. I do look at least 2 guys that in front of me. I look at their resume and what they did this year, and I just say, how? Like how? It's kind of wild to me. So I would have put myself above Ill Will, Real Sick, and Easy to Block Captain. So I would have had myself at 7, and then had probably Easy, Ill Will, and Real Sick to round out the top 10. But yeah, and then you got Tay Rock, Geechee, Chef Trez, Big K, and Twerk. I don't remember exactly what the order was, but those guys I think were a solid top 5. But yeah, a shout out to Smo. Is that his name? Just J Mo, Smo.
J Schmo. Tito.
Tito is the
Chilla.
So I believe, from what I understand, Tito is the number 1 donator, right? So whoever donates the most money to the pot gets a spot on the panel.
So I didn't catch the whole thing, right? Like I was kind of busy with work, and they started doing my work day. So I don't know if that was the case. I would assume that he still does that J Black still does that. But Tito is also a part of the Champion Gold. He's in the executive suite.
Okay, cool.
He's in the spaces all the time talking about battles. He's out. He's going to events, so on and so forth. So
that's the one thing I just like, man. When these guys say, "Oh, but he lost 2," or "He did this," or "He did that," it makes it a little easier for me to hear that when I know the guys are trying to be in the building, that are watching all the battles, that are, highly invested in that kind of stuff, because then I can at least say, look, at least your shit. No, excuse my French, but at least your stuff, like some people that just want to just jump out the window and, whatever, that's when you're just like, are you kidding me? But yeah, so shout out to them. And Mark was on this panel again this year. And Chilla. And like I said, every year it just seems to be getting a little bit better. I love seeing the Champion magazines in the backdrop. I love, the graphics and stuff popping up. I was able to win Moment of the Year, which was really dope. And yeah, I thought Chilla did a great job as well. I disagree with a handful of things Chilla said too. So I promise you, don't think that us battle rappers believe that, battle rappers know everything more, because Chilla was kind of in there, had me looking like, oh, you didn't say that to me. You know what I mean? I talked to you the day of the battle. Frack didn't win that battle clearly back then. What you mean now? You know what I mean? So there was a couple instances, but shout out to my guy Chilla. I don't know if they still have the donation link up, but please go donate. Big K is very deserving. And like I said, and I mentioned it on Twitter, Big K, Rum Nitty, and Geechee Gotti, all have won Champion of the Year the year they battled me. So, and Real Sick, he went from, not mentioned at all to top 10 just off battling me. So, if you want the world to pay attention to what you're doing in battle rap, get a league to send me a deposit, because I'm not declining it.
So real quick, I want to, on the Chilla thing, do you think that battle rappers sometimes may sugarcoat their responses to their friends in the moment as like a little bit of an ego boost?
Yes. However, I also think too that there's an element of not appearing very biased while you're on the panel. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that me and Chilla, like, we're close. We're a Drosy gang. We just put a whole song out. You know what I mean? Like that. So you also don't want to, people give France a hard time because he's so A-Ward biased. You know what I mean? And I think there's a level of I'm not even gonna try to talk about this because I don't want to come across as that's my guy. You know what I mean? And then there is bro, I had you winning, or it was a lot closer. But there's also a way that we think as battlers, right? Especially like a guy named Chilla and myself, where we think like of written material and different things, and we hold that in a higher regard. But the general consensus of the world might not think that. I think back to when I battled DNA. And the general consensus would have DNA beating me at Blackout. And however, when I talk to a lot of battle rappers, they're like, I ain't gonna lie, I had you winning it. You know what I mean? So without having to explain the context of all of that kind of stuff, I think, him being like, yeah, okay, he lost to Frack, he lost to this, he lost to that, or whatever. It's easier to kind of say without saying, to be honest with you, so.
Okay. So last thing, and this is the final thing. So I just saw a tweet, shout out to the Dungeon Game, a group chat, battle rap group chat that we are in. Tay Rock said that this is his last year. Do you think that to be true? Do you think this is going to be his last year battle?
No, it's nobody's last year battling ever. I'm pretty sure Emerson Kennedy just did a whole battle rap farewell tour, and he's all battling this year. Get out of here. I'm pretty sure Marv's been telling me he's been retired for 3 years, and he's definitely going to end up battling. You know what I mean? It's nobody ever retires from battle rap. You know who retired from battle rap the best?
Who's that?
100 Bullets. 100 Bullets retired from battle rap. He didn't battle. He battled Real Deal when I battled Franchise, right? After that, I don't think he battled for maybe a couple years. Then he did a battle against Prehistoric maybe in 2019. And then he just bounced. He bounced for 5 years. He didn't say nothing. He didn't make an announcement. He didn't come out and say this whatever. Now mind you, he might be, but he just bounced. And then, he does a comeback battle against me, but like, it was quiet for 100 Bullets, 5 years. He could have been getting any kind of small plates around anywhere. He could have been getting, some King of the Dot looks and stuff like that, but he just bounced. People that say this is my last year, they're just saying it because they want you to say, no, but yeah, or they're trying to send a message to something to say, I feel disrespected, or book me now, or whatever, So no, I don't believe this is Tay Rock's last year. Listen, Tay Rock is still one of the best battlers in the world. He's still competing at a high level, and he's still getting paid very, very well. Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Barry Sanders? That's the only one. Barry Sanders is doing that. He's retiring. Calvin Johnson. He's retiring in the middle of, but not Tay Rock.
And Jonah.
But I think Jonah had some physical ailments as well, from what I gathered.
Okay, or I'll go Joe. Joe didn't reach quite the same heights, but Joe retired.
Joe never started.
So,
Joe's like the kid that quit.
He had.
Joe's like when you go get a job and you're in training for like 2 months, and then you get out and then you work like a couple of shifts and then you quit. Like that's what Joe did. Like he was in training for a little while and then boom.
All right.
Glue Easy might have really retired. Glue Easy really might have retired, honestly.
No, well, that's not true. I was going to say, who really retired is R Streets, but I think R Streets, he might have finally got the T-Top battle. I had to go look it up and see if it's on YouTube. But after the whole incident with T-Top and not having a third round at home, he literally disappeared for like 4 years. And then like he popped up and battled on some league in Carolina. And like I said, I think he might have finally got the T-Top battle. So we can play this who really retired game for a little bit. But yeah. By the way, Emerson Kennedy, man, I was emotionally invested in your retirement. Like the trade, like you had the ability to put together all of this dope footage. Yeah, man, this is, what it would be like if I get 6 battles against some of the best battle rappers in the world. This is my story. I mean, he's got the dramatic music. And I'm like, I'm here. And he just battled like this year, right? He battled. Who did he battle on King of the Dot with or was it the Standing on Business bar? The Godzilla, I really stand on business. Who was that against?
I don't know. I know
Was that King of the Dot?
Pepe was last year.
He had a bar by somebody standing on business.
Yeah,
and I don't think it was Twerk.
I don't know.
But either way, that was after you should have retired, EK. Anyway. All right, man. That's our time, man. Thank you for tuning in to It's a Black and White Thing. Remember, you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, choosing It's a Black and White Thing, rate, review, subscribe. You can also search Brains and Bars to find the show. You can find us on YouTube every Tuesday-ish by going to It's a Black and White Thing on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe, comment, share, whether it be the podcast or the audio visual form of this so we can spread the word. You can follow us on social media by going to @BrainsandBars on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And until next time, it's been a Black.
And nobody mentioned Taylor Swift in an hour and 15 minutes. White thing.
Speaking of white, yeah, I'm trying to think. Now you threw me off. I was about to say something else, but now I don't remember. All right, man. I'll let y'all next week. Y'all be easy.